thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me.
It is an honor for us. I know me. This is, by the way, we talked a little bit before the show. Nothing feels better than making you laugh. I will say that. Well, I enjoyed that very much. I am Malala. It's honestly humbling to meet you. You're 16. Where did your love for education come from?
We are human beings, and this is the part of our human nature, that we don't learn the importance of anything until it's snatched from our hands. And when, in Pakistan, when we were stopped from going to school, at that time, I realized that education is very important, and education is the power for women. And that's why the terrorists are afraid of education. They do not want women to get education, because then women would become more powerful.
Exactly right. When did the Taliban come to Swat Valley? Because before then, you describe it as a paradise of sorts.
Taliban came in 2004, but at that time they were quite good. They did not show the terrorism, and they did not blast any school at that time. But they started the real terrorism in 2007. They have blasted more than 400 schools in Swat. They have slaughtered people. And in the month of January 2009, they used to slaughter even 2-3 people every night. And they have flogged women. We have seen the barbaric situation of the 21st century. And we have seen like the cruelty, and we have seen harsh days in our life. And those we regarded as the darkest days of our life. So it was really hard for us at that time.
You describe in the book, still, no matter what, they took the signs off of schools. They went underground, but they continued in the face of, you spoke out publicly against the Taliban. What gave you the courage to continue this?
You know, my father was a great encouragement for me, because he spoke out for women's rights. He spoke out for girls' education. And at that time, I said that why shall I wait for someone else? Why shall I be looking to the government, to the army, that they would help us? Why don't I raise my voice? Why don't we speak up for our rights? The girls of Swat, they spoke up for their rights. I started writing diary. I spoke on every media channel that I could. And I raised my voice on every platform that I could. And I said, I need to tell the world what is happening in Swat. And I need to tell the world that Swat is suffering from terrorism. And we need to fight against terrorism.
When did you realize the Taliban had made you a target?
When in 2012, I was with my father, and someone came and she told us that, have you seen on Google that if you search your name and the Taliban have threatened you? And I just could not believe it. I said, no, it's not true. And even after the threat, when we saw it, I was not worried about myself that much. I was worried about my father, because we thought that the Taliban are not that much cruel that they would kill a child, because I was 14 at that time. But then later on, I used to I started thinking about that, and I used to think that the Talib would come and he would just kill me. But then I said, if he comes, what would you do, Malala? Then I would reply myself that, Malala, just take a shoe and hit him. But then I said, if you hit a Talib with your shoe, then there would be no difference between you and that Talib. You must not treat others that much with cruelty and that much harshly. You must fight others, but through peace and through dialogue and through education. Then I said, I'll tell him how important education is, and that I even want education for your children as well. And I'll tell him, that's what I want to tell you. Now do what you want.
You know, I know your father is backstage, and he's very proud of you, but would he be mad if I adopted you? because you sure are swell.
Good to be here. Good to be back.
It's nice to see you again. The book
It's
is
my
called
book.
American Grown. Look at this. You,
nice.
as First Lady, everybody has an issue. And you decided, I'm going to take on this idea of getting children to eat well.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have been more successful with, let's say, colonization of Mars? Because as a parent of 2 children, unless this garden sprouts cheeseburgers, no. What gave you the idea to do this?
You know, it was really my experiences as a mother trying to get my kids to eat well. I mean, you know, what most people don't know, we're seeing an epidemic of childhood obesity. 1 in 3 of our kids will be overweight or obese, and we are spending billions of dollars in healthcare costs for preventable illnesses. And in my life, I saw how that was happening. You know, 2 busy parents, don't have time to cook, eating out too much, you know, activity is being eliminated from our schools in many ways. The average kid is spending 7.5 hours a day in front of a screen. The average kid, that's on average. And
wow,
it's,
can I just very quickly? Kids, if you're at home right now, Daddy says you can beat that. Daddy knows. You're not average, kids. I want to see 10 hours from you today. My kids they can make it.
No!
They can, oh, did I get that wrong?
No.
Oh, I have it backwards.
Go the other way around.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we used to, you know, in the old days, they opened the back door, you went out, and you ran, but it is a different world. It's harder to get kids.
Yeah. Well, you know, and with modern life, things are changing. Many kids are living in communities where their parents don't feel safe having them run outside, right? You know, fast food is the exception, or the rule rather than the exception.
Right.
I mean, just culturally.
Well, a lot of times it's cheaper, though. You know, it is.
Absolutely.
You know, you're trying to feed 4 people. You got $1 menu. It's got a lot of good food on.
That's
you know,
right.
It's very difficult. Is this for you more of a symbolic idea that they start to understand?
Well, the garden is a way to begin the conversation, because
Right.
what I also learned in changing my kids' habits is that if kids are involved in the growth process of food and they get a better understanding of where their food comes from and they're engaged, they tend to be more likely to be excited about it.
Right.
And the garden has been a really important catalyst for that discussion. I mean, we've had hundreds of kids working with us in the garden to help plant and harvest. And usually with the harvest, we end with a vegetable feast. And we've got kids who
I'm sorry, just very quickly.
It's a vegetable feast.
The phrase vegetable feast.
It's a feast. And we've had
Is there
kids.
a cheese faucet for this vegetable feast?
We've served everything from flatbread, veggie pizza that many kids have said is better than takeout. You know, because the truth is that vegetables that are grown fresh taste much better. I mean, I know when I was growing up, you got those store-bought tomatoes in that plastic tin, and they tasted like water.
Or the ones in the bag that you boiled, but they were filled with that crazy yellow sauce that they said is like a butter-ish substance.
You know, or when we grew up, you cook broccoli until you could cut it with a fork. You know, it's not supposed to be that way. But when you get kids engaged in pulling a tomato off the vine, it's really good. So
I'm
we
just gonna
start
write
with
this
kids.
down. Engage your children.
Engage your children in the process. Talk to them.
Do
Talk
not
to them.
leave them outside. You know, I've been watching the news recently.
Yeah.
There is a tremendous discussion going on in this country right now on women's health issues, contraception, mainly amongst, I guess you'd call them penist Americans. So we thought, why not bring in someone without a penis to discuss how it affects the people that it actually are being talked about?
That's big of you, and it's great.
Let me say this.
Well,
You're welcome. No, has that been odd to watch?
Touche.
That all these.
It's incredible.
It's odd.
It's absolutely incredible to see. Now, well, first, that birth control itself is a topic of political debate in this presidential election.
You mean religious liberty?
Well, I mean, actually, as you said, yeah, I mean, for women, obviously, birth control is not a it's not a religious topic, it's a health topic, and 99% of women in America use it. And at Planned Parenthood, we provide birth control to millions of women every single year. So yeah, I think they're kind of mystified by what the controversy is all about.
Does this put, what is this, do you fear that you are going back into a place where we have to have the contraception conversation all over again, that was a battle that was fought?
Well, you would think so, again, since everyone uses it now. And actually the exciting thing is, for the first time, we think women actually will finally get birth control covered by their insurance plans, which is a great it's a great advance for women's health. It's a great economic issue for women. But again, I think we're seeing in this presidential primary this sort of like race to the bottom, where every presidential candidate on the Republican side is trying to say, I would be absolutely the worst for women, including being opposed to birth control coverage. I think the last time that birth control was probably a controversial topic was during Prohibition.
No, the 60s and 70s it was an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't that when Griswold was decided? Isn't that the whole...
That was actually when, for the first time, married couples could use birth control legally.
Right. And now I guess what they're saying is, the interesting thing to me is how it's been changed to be an issue about women wanting someone to pay for them to have sex, or money coming out of other people's pockets so that women can have sex. It strikes me as a very interesting direction to take the conversation.
Yeah, it's actually really hard to... I don't even know if I can respond to that.
I can. I did on the show earlier.
No, and thanks for covering this issue. No, for women, look, at Planned Parenthood, we see 1 in 5 women in America at some point in their lifetime. And this last year, I think I've heard from every single one of them, because they are absolutely astounded that we are now redebating issues that I think have been settled for a long time.
The caricature of Planned Parenthood, and the one that I think critics is this idea of an abortion factory, where the idea is that's how you make your money, and you're going to set up a drive-through, and there's no there's no thoughtfulness, there's no morality to it. It is, that is the type of evil place that it is. What's the reality of the place? What's the mandate?
The reality is we're the largest family planning provider in America, and we do more to prevent unintended pregnancy and the need for abortion than any organization in this country.
What would be something that you think maybe your critics would be very surprised to know about?
More than 90% of our services are preventive care. We provide not only more than 2 million folks with birth control each year, but we do more than 750,000 pap smears every year, breast exams for women.
Right. On different people, I mean that. Obviously, that wouldn't be right to do to one person.
No, that's right. No, actually, I mean, the great thing about Planned Parenthood, we're all across the country, and what's for many women, we are their only medical provider. We are their doctor. And the one doctor visit they get a year is at Planned Parenthood. And that's why, again, I think there's just been this sort of groundswell of concern when politicians are saying we're going to end not only Planned Parenthood, but all family planning in America.
What do you think, if Planned Parenthood was one of those things that was put to a vote in America, I get the sense that it would be...
I think we'd win.
A pretty popular place. In local communities, it seems like people understand it better than they do on the national stage.
Absolutely right, John. In fact, as I said, 1 in 5 women have been to Planned Parenthood, so they actually know what we do. And not that I'm competitive, but I did just see some national polling. 69% of the American people not only support Planned Parenthood, but believe that we should get public funding to provide the services that we do. Congress approval rating hovering around 10%, I think. So I think if it really came down to who do you think's on your side, as a woman, as a family, I think folks would vote for Planned Parenthood.